Hiro Mishima is a Japanese mangaka known for two things. One, his excessive tendency to overuse every single character design he's ever made in every single one of his original manga runs. And two,
he will not write a story about a female protagonist who does not have the biggest boobs possible.
Oh yeah, and he wrote, fairy tales, So yeah. Now the word mid is applied to a lot of anime, probably too much if I'm honest. So what exactly is fairy tale? If the first word out of your mouth was mid, then congratulations, you probably own a Genshin Impact body pillow. If you say that fairy tale is one of the greatest anime you've ever seen, then congratulations on unsuccessfully trolling us with your insincere opinion. If you say, I don't know, I haven't seen it yet, then you are both honest and smart. You also probably have a family that loves you. And you don't spend 12 hours a day f***ing a cardboard cutout of Hatsune Miku. But no matter your opinion on the show, your odds of actually having seen it are kind of low. Well, lucky for you, I am the unfortunate degenerate who tasked himself with watching every single episode of this beautiful mess. I've seen the great highs, the great lows, and... Oh, no, we are not going to talk about them right now. Some of the moments even live in my top 10 anime moments of all time, while others persist in my nightmares despite the fact that I'm on 7 different insomnia prescriptions. So instead of spending my time on something more productive, I watched all of Fairy Tail so you don't have to. Yeah, you can tell my family doesn't love me. The story of Fairy Tail takes place in a world populated by wizards and the guilds they create. Guilds essentially turn wizards into bounty hunters, taking on jobs for the local populace. The most famous of these wizard guilds is the one called Fairy Tail.
Oh no. I say when we're done.
Our busty heroine-to-be, Lucy Heartfilia, is hell-bent on joining this guild. Lucy gets her wish in a stroke of luck when she meets Natsu Dragneel, the rumored most powerful mage in all of Fairy Tail. Natsu is a fire wizard with a type of magic known as Dragon Slayer magic. As the name suggests, Natsu is adept at taking down dragons. He learned his magic style from his adoptive father, who was also a dragon named Igneel. And because Natsu's an anime protagonist, Igneel kinda left for the milk and never came back, leaving Natsu on a quest to search for Igneel, a search that eventually brought him to Fairy Tail. While Lucy and Natsu do various jobs in Fairy Tail, 2 more key characters join the roster. The first of which is Grey Fullbuster, an ice wizard and the team's resident edgy boy. He has a tragic backstory about him being orphaned and then being taught ice powers by the wizard who adopted him, but his backstory is not very relevant to the main plot. And the other is Urza Scarlet, a weirdly sexualized redhead who has the ability to change into any kind of weapon or armor she wants at will. This process is called requipping, and it's easily the coolest magic fighting style in this entire show. Through some goofy hijinks, these 4 characters form the strongest team in all of Fairy Tail. The first 30 episodes of Fairy Tail contain some minor arcs, but the story doesn't really pick up until the Tower of Heaven. This is where main antagonist and later dude antagonist Jalal Fernandez is introduced. Jalal used to be a good guy and actually friends with Urza before he was possessed as a child by the spirit of the Dark Lord Zareth.
This man will be important later.
Jalal is the first real obstacle the main cast has to overcome. But I mean, outside of introducing Jalal, the Tower of Heaven arc isn't really that important, so I won't talk about it anymore. To be honest, the first 100 or so episodes of Fairy Tail are dedicated mostly to character and world development. Which, I mean, is fine, but the main plot doesn't really kick off until much later. After the Tower of Heaven, you get the Fairy Tail Civil War arc, which is exactly what it sounds like. Basically, Master Makarov... No, not that Makarov. Or that Makarov. Fuck no. Oh yeah, and Master Makarov is the leader of Fairy Tail. And Makarov has a grandson, and there are 3 things you should know about this guy. 1, his name is Loxus. 2, he's voiced by the ever-prolific and extremely talented Patrick Seitz. And 3, Loxus is a huge asshole. So anyway, Loxus does some pretty douchey shit before realizing that he's being a giant dickhead and then proceeds to fuck off for the next 60 episodes. The main point of this arc is just to introduce Loxus, but he's not that important, so like, why am I still talking about it?
Yes, Titus, that's a good question. Please talk about something relevant before everyone gets bored.
After the Fairy Tail Civil War arc, we come to the Oracion Seis arc. The Oracion Seis is a group of 6 elite evil wizards who make up what's called a Dark Guild. Dark Guilds are basically like regular guilds, only they do bad stuff like murder people and don't pay their taxes. Note that the Oracion Seis is not the first Dark Guild to appear in the story, but the arc in which the actual first Dark Guild appears is so mind-blowingly irrelevant to the main plot that I didn't even mention it. So anyway, the Oracion Seis want to revive an ancient super weapon that turns all light into darkness. Whatever the fuck that means. What is this, fucking Destiny? Is this some Kingdom Hearts ass bullshit?
Donald Duck is Sephiroth's mother.
Shut the fuck up!
So yeah, Fairy Tail forms an alliance with a bunch of other good guilds and then goes to take them down. One of the wizards joining this alliance is a young wind dragon slayer named Wendy Marvel. And yeah, it's not technically wind dragon slaying magic, it's technically sky dragon slaying magic, but just potato fucking tato. And yes, as the name suggests, Wendy is a dragon slayer, and this does mean she has connections to Natsu. It'll just be important later. So then there's this whole thing where the guild Wendy's from never existed in the first place, so like when it finally disappears, she has to join Fairy Tail, and like it's not even important. Like the only important thing is that she joins Fairy Tail. Now, okay, before I talk about our first actually kind of relevant arc, I should probably do some kind of recap. You may have noticed that there's been absolutely no building of a larger plot here. And while at first blush this may seem like lazy writing, Mishima is actually using these opening arcs to set up the characters and world. We will see later when the plot really begins to pick up how the world building and characters really pay off for him. The world of Fairy Tail is, I gotta say it, it's one of my favorites in all of anime. It's really simple, oddly incohesive, but still tons of fun. Although I do have to say that most of the fun comes from the characters and their dynamics with each other. While the character interactions and chemistry in Fairy Tail are very fun, they're not very deep. And while some people may see this as a problem based on the kind of story Fairy Tail's trying to tell, I don't really think it is. And to be fair, relationships between certain characters are beefed up over time towards the end of the show. I mean, we're just in the first 100 episodes, guys. I mean, like, we're just getting started here. After the Oracion Seis are dealt with, we come to what is probably one of Fairy Tail's most unique and interesting arcs. The arc starts when Fairy Tail and the entire town of Magnolia is sucked into an interdimensional rift. This dimensional rift leads to what I can only describe as a whole-ass alternate reality. This alternate reality is populated mostly by the same characters and locations that exist within the normal Fairy Tail continuity. However, many personalities are altered, and in a lot of cases, they are reversed entirely. But the main difference between the normal Fairy Tail world named Earthland and the alternate one known as Edolas is the way magic works. On Earthland, wizards accumulate magic power by way of energy-charged airborne particles known as ether nanos. The energy that wizards slowly collect from ether nanos are what allow them to perform their magic abilities. On Edolas, however, ether nanos don't actually exist. This is because the world's supply of magic energy had been exhausted long ago. But since magic is technically the lifeblood of the planet, Edolas is slowly dying. And that's why the leaders of Edolas opened the wormhole to turn all Fairy Tail into a giant magic crystal battery. With such a dispensary of powerful wizards, Fairy Tail would power Edolas for years to come. That is, unless the transdimensional wormhole didn't get every member of Fairy Tail, which, yeah, about that. I mean, you gotta make the story happen somehow. And if you've been paying attention to my explanation of the magic system, you'll realize that Natsu, Wendy, and Lucy now have to fend for themselves in a world without their magic. It's a unique twist on the shonen formula to show us our endlessly power-scaled characters in a situation where all their awesome powers mean diddly dick. It honestly is pretty cool to see. Also, the second opening for this arc absolutely slaps. However, ultimately, nothing very important happens in this arc, unless you count Lizana coming back, which is omega bullshit, by the way. And I went back and rewatched this part for the video, and it's genuinely emotionally poignant. It's just terribly, terribly written. Like, you can't just sit here and tell me that she was about to get clapped by a giant murder kaiju and she was just teleported to an alternate reality right before death because, I don't know, reasons?
Heard you died in a tank in South America. Well, I wasn't in that tank.
Yo, is this person fucking retarded?
But the next arc is where the story officially starts. Hey, what's going on, internet? Okay, so if I look a little different, not that you were paying attention anyway, it's because I'm recording this 4 months after my original footage. And now I've actually begun editing this video, and I realize how many times I baited you into thinking the Fairy Tail story actually starts. But here, at the Tenro Island arc, is when it finally does. So I'm just recording this segment after the fact because it would be awkward not to do so. Also, you're probably wondering why I'm wearing a Demon Slayer hoodie, and that's because Demon Slayer is actually one of the greatest shonen anime ever conceived. And if you don't think so, then you need to shut the actual fuck up! Let me set the scene. Master Makarov is all like, we need to make some of you guys S-class wizards. And so Natsu, Gray, Lucy, and a bunch of others are like, hell yeah! And then Master Makarov's all like, Oh, but we need to do it on this super important island. You see, this island's very important because it's where Fairy Tail was founded. So anyway, you guys fight each other or some bullshit, and one of you can become the next S-Class wizard, I think. I know. I'm an amazing voice actor, okay? What can I say? I have natural talent.
And the Oscar goes to...
So anyway, all the contestants of the S-Class Wizard tryouts form brackets and beat each other up. However, this merry little contest is interrupted by the emergence of the Grimoire Heart, another dark guild. And Grimoire Heart is out to revive the big bad evil guy of Fairy Tail, none other than the Dark Wizard Zareth. Yeah, remember this guy? Maybe not, but I did say he'd be relevant later. Zareth is a powerful evil wizard who lived a long time ago and made a lot of evil demons that cause a lot of trouble for Fairy Tail. Turns out, however, that he never actually died and is merrily camping out on the super special island where Fairy Tail was founded. I say merrily, but he's actually cursed with an aura that insta-kills anything around him whenever he's feeling sad, so, yeah, he's kind of fucked up. It's actually called the Curse of Contradiction, and the more he cares about life, the more he destroys it. And that sounds really lame when I say it out loud, so I'm gonna just say that he kills anything whenever he gets sad. But all jokes aside, Zareth is actually quite a bit more layered than a lot of other anime antagonists. We'll talk about him at length later, but for now, he's just more of a MacGuffin. So anyway, Grimoire Heart is hunting for Zareth, and Fairy Tail is just trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. So Fairy Tail systematically battles through Grimoire Heart before they reach the final boss, that being Master Hades. Master Hades, current leader of Grimoire Heart and former leader of Fairy Tail, is eventually defeated when Loxus shows back up. Yeah, it's not really that important, he just kind of shows up and becomes part of the main plot again. I'm back! Fairy Tail checks another dark guild off the list, and the super special important island is kind of fucked. So anyway, Fairy Tail all holds hands and they live happily ever after. Just kidding, a massive elder dragon named Actologia conveniently awakens at just the right time to massively fuck up the plot. Thankfully, the ghost of the first master of Fairy Tail awakens at just the right time, also conveniently to trap Fairy Tail in a time bubble that lasts 7 years. So anyway, half of Fairy Tail spends 7 years trapped in a time rift, and when they finally get out, it's not looking good. From there, there's a small arc that consists of rebuilding Fairy Tail's reputation, but after that, it's basically back to normal. The next arc is the Infinity Clock arc, and it's a lot like the Edolas Arc, only a lot less interesting. I mean, the climax and the twist we all saw coming was kind of cool, I guess, but it takes way too long to get there. And I guess the Oracion Seis are back, so if you liked them in the last arc, you'll like them here. I mean, I didn't really like them in the last arc, so... It's the next arc where Fairy Tail finally kicks it into second gear and the story gets going. So, Fairy Tail, eager to reclaim their lost notoriety, decide to enter into the Grand Magic Games. This is an annual magic contest that pits several different guilds against each other to see who's the best. It's basically just the Super Bowl, but it's actually interesting. There you go, I made a sports joke, you fucking degenerates. However, the Grand Magic Games are really just a backdrop for the advancement of the main plot. So Jalal's back in the mix, reformed and now a part of Fairy Tail. Okay, so I kind of skipped over the fact that everyone thought Jalal was part of Fairy Tail for the longest time until it was revealed that it was actually Mystigan who was Jalal from the Edolas universe, and like this is really important during the Edolas arc, and it's not really important now, and we kind of skipped over it, so we're just gonna move on. And he's on the hunt for Zareth, as are a few of the bad guys behind the scenes. And Jalal's investigation is going on all while Fairy Tail is trying to win the Grand Magic Games. Jalal's investigation leads him to a powerful relic known as the Eclipse Gate, which will be explained later but is important now. The Eclipse Gate is located directly under the Grand Magic Games arena. This is because in order to activate it, it requires an immense amount of magic energy. This magic power is being slowly and subtly siphoned from the powerful wizards who battle above.
Hey, what's up, bitches? Time for another late night recording session.
Sorry about that. So, while Fairy Tail dukes it out in your standard shonen battle brackets, dark forces work behind the scenes to use the Eclipse Gate to open a portal into the past. So, up until this point, I don't actually think the Eclipse Gate has been explained, so let me, whip out the old whiteboard here, and, alrighty, class, everyone ready? Ready, everyone can take their seats now? Everyone take their seats, everyone be quiet, please, everyone be quiet, please, quiet down, quiet the fuck down. I said shut the fuck up! There we go, now that class is in session, I can finally begin explaining what the Eclipse Gate is and what it does. Okay, so we already know that the Eclipse Gate siphons magic power from the battling wizards above in the Grand Magic Games. What we didn't know is that in order to open the Eclipse Gate, we need 12 artifacts known as the Zodiac Summoning Keys. And what the keys do is that using one summons a legendary spirit to fight for you, and that's what Lucy uses for her fighting style. Anyway, capiche, you get the picture, I hope. And the Princess of Fiore keeps having these weird dreams about a dragon invasion in the future, and she plans on using the portal to the past in order to stop this. How she's gonna do that, I don't fucking know. Anyway, as it turns out, all the Zodiac Spirit Keys are conveniently gathered in one place during the Grand Magic Games event.
Professor Galta, you see, that's not exactly how it happened.
Hey, are you the prof of this class? Are you the prof?
No.
Well then, bitch, you better shut your fucking mouth before I turn your face into
A modern art piece!
Anyway, everybody got that? No? Okay, well, I tried. Also, I'm wondering why the princess didn't account for the fact that maybe opening this portal into the past is what causes her visions to come true, but I guess everyone in the story is now fucking stupid for some reason. So she ends up sliding the keys in, and what do you know? She ends up causing the dragon invasion from her dreams instead of preventing it. Great job. Never could have seen this coming. So anyway, as we continue, oh, fuck me. Okay, back to the whiteboard. You see, I actually forgot that one of the guilds competing in the Grand Magic Games is actually relevant for the rest of this arc and for the rest of the story, so I guess I'm gonna have to do a lot more explaining. This here is the guild Sabretooth, and they are the new most hip, popular, cool guild after Fairy Tail kind of fucking left for 7 years. Relevant members include Sting, who is a light dragon slayer and generally looks up to Natsu. Then we have Rogue, who generally looks up to Gajiel and idolizes him. I know he didn't really explain who Gajiel is, but he belonged to a dark guild before he was like kind of beat up and brought into Fairy Tail, and he's an Iron Dragon Slayer, and that's all that's relevant for the story. Also, he may be a pedophile, I'm not really sure.
I'll make you bigger than you've ever been, little girl.
Oh my fucking god! Those are really the only two members that are important for the story going forward, but if you want a third, there's Yukino, who holds the rest of the Zodiac Keys that Lucy doesn't have. So anyway, Rogue has a cute little cat in a frog costume named Frosh. In the future, Frosh fucking dies, murdered by some character that will be revealed later for dramatic purposes. So anyway, Rogue gets angry and travels back in time through the Eclipse Gate and emerges along with the dragons to be the main antagonist of this arc. And there's also a future version of Lucy, and she dies, and it's not important. Sanatsu and gang force dragons back through a portal, kill evil Rogue, all is right with the world. Until we transition smoothly into the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc. Okay, now, you see, this one is a doozy. Remember those Zodiac Celestial Spirits we mentioned earlier? Each of these spirits is named after their corresponding zodiac sign. We got Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, and we can't forget Leo. Also, Leo's kind of important because his alter ego Loki was a part of Fairy Tail for the longest time as an actual wizard, not just like this cool legendary summon guy. But that's its own arc, and it's not really relevant to the main plot. Actually, come to think of it, Fairy Tail has a lot of interesting arcs that don't really matter to the bigger story, which is a shame because I think Loki, or Leo's arc, is one of the best in the entire anime. Anyway, using all these guys' spirit summon keys actually did a number on them, in that the Eclipse Gate, through some dark wizardry that's not properly explained, spazzes out and turns all 12 Zodiac spirits into evil versions of themselves. And you see, that's actually pretty interesting, because it makes for some pretty cool And obviously, since this is a shonen battle anime, you already know the drill. Initiate shonen battle brackets. Wendy versus Aquarius, Juvia versus Aries, Urza versus Sagittarius, Natsu versus Leo, Gray versus Cancer. Wait, Gray versus Cancer? Wait, Gray versus Cancer? You mean Gray is that kid with cancer? Wait a minute. Gray wins against Cancer. Gray beats Cancer. Oh no. Does that mean... Oh no! Anyway, bang bang boom, Fairy Tail beats the absolute living shit out of all the celestial spirits, and all is right with the world once again. And the next arc is actually, I'd say, the best in the series, and generally amazing anime overall. And I'm telling you, the Tartarus Arc is so good, it could literally go toe-to-toe with something like Hunter x Hunter. So, once again, we got another dark guild called Tartarus, and they are, as usual, up to no good. It's made up of literal demons created by Zeref to resurrect one big, powerful demon known as END. Also, that's N for all you bastards out there who can't spell. I know that's like half my audience, but whatever. Anyway, as it turns out, Zeref has lived for hundreds of years and is cursed with immortality. And he's just looking for someone who can knock his lights out for good. END was supposed to do just that. The problem is, END is so strong that in its attempt to take out Zeref, might actually take out the entire world while it's at it. Hence the reason why Fairy Tail has to kick another dark guild's ass again. So one of the things that I think makes the Tartarus arc so good is the fact that the villains aren't your standard shonen villains. I mean, technically they are, and technically you have your standard shonen battle brackets, as with all the arcs in Fairy Tail, and outside of being the most powerful baddies Fairy Tail has faced outside of Actologia, each Tartarus member has the ability to regenerate themselves after death in a test tube back at home base. This ends up being a huge problem for Fairy Tail, because one of Tartarus' lowest ranking members actually almost kills Loxus in death. Like, he dies, but he puts Loxus out of commission for the whole arc, as well as the rest of the Thunder Legion and an entire fucking town. On top of this, Tartarus essentially kills the entire Magic Council, who is the ruling body of wizards that governs the entire continent, and in doing so gain access to an entire plethora of magic superweapons to use against Fairy Tail. One of these is a magic nullifying bomb called a Face. And that's because it's a dildo with a face on it. Anyway, activating a face destroys all magic energy in an entire continent's radius. If just one of these babies go off, Fairy Tail is fucked. Oh, did I say one of these babies? Oh, I forgot to mention that there's hundreds of these fucking things. Anyway, this is just S-tier anime, and I don't want to spoil it any more than I already have. Genuinely, if you watch the first 50 or so episodes of Fairy Tail, then watch the Tenro Island arc, then watch the Tartarus arc, you've basically seen the best of Fairy Tail. Anyway, this arc has a ton of shit that happens, but it eventually ends by Makarov breaking up the guild. Before we start the final arc, though, we have to talk about Fairy Tail Zero. It's an interesting, albeit short read that is adapted pretty well into the next 8 episodes. And fun fact, this is the only bit of Fairy Tail literature I ended up reading before watching its show adaptation. And yes, before you fuckers decide to go ham in the comments, manga is literature, sue me, dumb fucks. Anyway, now on to the grand finale. This one starts with Lucy and Natsu teaming up to put the guild back together. First they go to meet up with Wendy, then they meet up with Juvia. I'm sorry, I haven't really explained who Juvia is, but she's essentially Gray's yandere girlfriend, and she's a fucking crazy bitch.
I pulled my precious Gray inside of me to ensure his safety.
Is it just me, or does that seem really weird?
Are you jealous he was inside of me and not you?
Juvia, no, seriously, wait, what the fuck? Anyway, they find her all depresso espresso because Gray kinda up and left her 6 months earlier. And Juvia recalls that before Gray left, he had a pattern of black markings appearing on his arm. At this point, it is revealed that Gray was the one to kill Frosh in the dark vision of the future that turned Rogue into a psychopathic maniac. Natsu and gang, probably thinking that Gray was about to bring about another dragon apocalypse, go to look for Gray. And unfortunately, it seems that he has already joined the bad guys. It seems that Gray has joined a dark guild called Avatar, only they are not based in Fiore. They're actually based in Alvarez, which is a continent across the sea. Anyway, these chuckleheads also work for Zareth, and now apparently Gray does too. Anyway, what's left of Fairy Tail works with Gajiel, who has become a government agent, to essentially do a big bust on this whole conspiracy thing. However, joke's on you bitches, because it actually turns out Gray was only pretending the entire time. Who would have thought? He was actually doing an inside job for the Magic Council, and that whole turning to the dark side thing was only played for suspense. Anyway, after the Zareth cult is foiled, Alvarez, which is the nation across the sea from Fiore, as you'll remember, finally decides to make their move. Anyway, the Alvarez Empire, headed by none other than Zareth himself, decide to launch a full-scale attack on all of Fiore, planning to destroy Fairy Tail along with it. And here's where I think that this arc kind of falls short of the last one. You see, our new bracket of enemies to fight are the Spriggan 12, and they are absurdly overpowered. You see, like, there's this one bitch who can just freeze fucking time. And you'd think that with a power like that, they just can't be beat, and you'd be correct for thinking that. However, because the powers of friendship and bullshit can overcome literally anything, the Spriggan 12 don't actually stand a chance. So you see, the problem here is that you have 12 overpowered villains that Fairy Tail should not reasonably be able to beat, only they do, for some reason. So Fairy Tail realizes that they can't win this war by themselves, and they shouldn't be able to win it at all, but I guess, the power of bullshit, remember? So they get all the other good guilds together, you know, like from the Grand Magic games and prior to that. Anyway, fast forwarding to the main twist of this arc, and I would put a spoiler warning here, but we're like 20 minutes into the video, and I really don't think it's going to do us any good here. Anyway, as it turns out, the Natsu we know and love is actually a zombie demon creation of Zareth's dead brother. Okay, so the show explains it far better than I ever could, and if you really want to know that bad, you should probably just watch the show, if it's not too late already. Anyway, it's at this point in the story where the demon side of Natsu actually starts taking him over, turning into an evil bad guy who all he wants to do is destroy Zareth. But the problem here is that when you kill Zareth, all of his demon creations, like Tartarus and, you know, the rest of them, actually disappear. But now that we know that Natsu is one of Zareth's demon creations, when Natsu kills Zareth, Natsu will just kind of poof out of existence. And of course, no one wants this, so we're trying to find a way that we can kill Zareth, but keep Natsu alive. And honestly, with the power of bullshit and friendship, this should be no problem at all. And what do you know, that is exactly what they end up doing in a twist of fate that I cannot be bothered to explain. Again, watch the fucking show. I wrote this video in such a way that you could watch through the entire thing and still enjoy the series. So then Actologia shows up and then eats a hole in space and time, like, as if the stakes couldn't get any higher. So Natsu puts his power together with all the other Dragon Slayers, and bada bing, bada boom, giant anime blast. Actologia is defeated, and so is Zareth, and all is right with the world. Yay, 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 yay. We end with Lucy writing a book that makes her a best-selling author and speculating on fanships between Fairy Tail members. So, I guess that's fun. And that's where we're left until Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest comes out. To be honest, I definitely didn't enjoy every moment of this anime. There were a lot of arcs and episodes that were just generally boring or overly fan servicey. I will make a video about that at some point because I genuinely think anime fan service gets out of hand at times, especially in Fairy Tail. And arcs like the Infinity Clock or the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc are generally kinda lame, but in my opinion, they're overshadowed by the better arcs, like the Tartarus Arc, which is genuinely good even if you're just watching it by itself. So overall, a good anime, and I am glad that I tortured myself with watching every episode of this. So Fairy Tail definitely gets my stamp of approval, and I 100% recommend. And that's just where I'm gonna leave it for now. And I just really hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna square with you guys. I'm trying to do YouTube full-time so I can quit my job. I know I'm not quite at YouTube Pro level yet, but if you wilt, Master, bestow upon me the like and the subscribe so that I might achieve my final form and complete my training. And I can't really decide on how to end this video, so,
Think fast, Chuckle Nuts!